with that story. Activists say the technical glitch experienced by Postbank is dire and is affecting mostly elderly and child grant recipients. Black Sash monitors are reporting that old women are sleeping on pavements outside banks and retailers as they don't have money for transport home. How bad is the situation and what's being done to resolve it? We're joined by Vincent Skhosana. He is a paralegal at the Black Sash's Gauteng Regional Office. Mr. Skhosana, thank you so much for your time on SAT. Tell us about some of the tragic circumstances that you're aware of that have resulted from this payment glitch.
Good evening, and good evening to the viewers. It is one of the shocking months, and it doesn't start now. And this kind of situation and painting the number as if it's just a number, these are human beings. Whether it's 450,000 or not, that's a disaster. So currently the situation, it's really painful when you look at around the areas where we've monitored, people risking life, hoping that maybe next day things will be resolved. And this is still continuing. There are people who have even now having to borrow money just to reach the pay sites and going multiple times. It makes now them to risk their life and also borrow money from people who may not even be so patient enough. And this is not acceptable.
So communication, not what it should be, people being sent from pillar to post, from the bank to the retailer. When they get back to the retailer says the money's still not there. They get sent back to the bank. It's a very difficult situation for people who are seemingly not getting the kind of communication that they require. You're saying government is ultimately accountable.
Yes, we cannot now maybe keep on saying Postbank. The fact is that the holder or the person supposed to execute this mandate, which is a constitutional mandate, it is the DST and the minister herself that needs to take responsibility. And as you've said, the communication is so poor that it happened on the time of disaster. And then this is where the problem is, because the communication that is done, it is done on the digital platform. And we're talking about the beneficiaries who don't have access to such platform, who wake up early or rent a bakkie or taxi, just hoping that they will come and repay those people. So the communication needs to happen prior, and the system needs to be tested prior, and the DST should be held accountable for this disaster.
It's not the first time that vulnerable people reliant on grants have been unable to access payments. What do you think needs to happen? Because this problem has been coming with us for many years now. A new service provider is appointed. There are multiple issues. How do we get it right?
The fact is that the DST needs to find a way that will really be user-friendly to the beneficiaries. Yes, it's not for the first time, because the word glitches keep on coming. And we have seen it even last year, November 2022. This situation happened, but nobody is taking full responsibility to say, how can we remedy this? So the way forward is to make sure that DST iron out the issues and make sure that whoever takes the administration of social grant or the payment needs to be aware of what needs to happen and needs to know how the beneficiary needs to be treated in a dignified way. We've been calling this for a longer period. We know that it has been said that the agency, which is SASSA, cannot take full responsibility because of it is not doesn't have a banking license and it doesn't operate in that manner. So the only solution is to bring someone who understands the constitutional mandate that the grant in full, grant be paid at the right time, it's a way to go. And DST needs to come and stretch wherever they are to see how can this be made possible and user-friendly to the elder people, disabled, including the children.
So what about redress for people who have had to bear the brunt of this for the past week? As you were saying, people have gone hungry. They have incurred debts, loans that they've taken out to try and make it through the week. Some of them still don't have access to that grant fund. Do you think there should be a push for some kind of redress for those people? Because, you know, whether the system is fixed long-term down the road, that's not going to help the people who've taken out loans. And you know, one can only assume that those are not interest-free loans.
Yeah, you've got it correct. There is a need to for beneficiary to have a redress in this, even if it's now SASSA opening their office and making sure that there is some kind of outreach, reaching out to those people. Yes, the issues of loan may not be featured in terms of SASSA paying, but there's a need to have some sort of relief for people who stay for more than 3 days towards a month without getting any. There is a social relief of distress. I think they should need to look into that to say, how do we cushion those people by providing them with something while they are still sorting out the so-called glitches? So that needs to be looked into, because within the Social Assistance Act, for a person who's still waiting for a grant to be paid and is not getting it, there is a social relief of distress that needs to be provided while the person is awaiting. Yes, some will say it is maybe when in the process of applying, waiting for approval. But in this case, we understand that people have got the responsibility to other family members who are depending on this grant. And if nothing is at the table, then this is inhumane. Then something needs to be done by DST to reach out to those people, especially people like elders and the disabled who have walked this journey.
Part of activism, and a very big part of activism, is applying pressure when and where it's needed. So as Black Sash, what role are you playing in trying to put the required pressure on the Department of Social Development to fix the situation going forward? Because it doesn't help, you know, in 6 months or a year's time, we're doing a similar interview about another occurrence where people have not had access to their grant funding. And the role that you play is so important.
Yes, what we believe in is the process that we are engaging with, meeting with all the stakeholders that are responsible in terms of making sure that this payment system is at the right place. So without rushing into a platform such as court, we are looking forward to engage with the minister and the CEO of SASSA and other stakeholders, and the role player now who's taking the responsibility, which is the Postbank, to find a way that could preempt this and alert people on time before the system maybe is administered, like before the payments are done. There is a need maybe to pilot, to test it before payday to see if it is going to cope. So that's what we are engaging on now, to have this kind of recourse platform where we look at solution. Yes, some have bear the fruit, some have not, as we are seeing now, but we still continue to see what other avenue can we do internally with DST and with the minister and the CEO of SASSA and Postbank to say, okay, let us agree what is it that can be fixed prior to the payment date, because we don't want to rush to other avenues of litigation, which may be a costly exercise and a lengthy one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Vincent Skhosana from the Black Sash's Gauteng Regional Office.